All right, hi, and welcome to another installment of the morning meeting. Where we try to educate you a little bit about your business, home care, and bring on different people that will help your business grow along with get everything else organized and moving along in order. As usual, I'm Julio Briones, and with the Briones Consulting Group. And, one of the big topics that we always get asked about, especially in today's world of COVID, is, how do we get more caregivers? How do we get more office staff? And my answer is always the same. Let's take a look at your retention policies. I don't believe anyone has any recruitment issues. I believe we have serious retention problems because we're just having a hard time getting people to want to stay at the jobs. I mean, just the other day, big jobs report came out. There's something like 3 million people across the country that just decided to opt out of the workforce. So as employers, what are we doing to help them want to stay? Well, there's a number of different ways to do this. And one of the ways to do it is to offer some sort of a benefit. And even as a small business, even if you only got 2 or 3 employees and maybe a couple of caregivers, it is feasible. And joining us today is Stephanie Freitag of the Freitag Family. I'm so sorry, I don't remember your
Freitag Family Agency. You were
family
almost there.
agent. I'm so sorry. Oh,
Yes.
y'all, at least people know we're doing this live. They're not,
Right.
Yeah, so screw ups are necessary from time to
That's
time. But
okay.
thank you so much for joining us. And I am so sorry once again about that.
Oh, no
So
worries.
introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and about your company, and what brought you to want to help people in this way.
Yeah, so I'm actually Stephanie, as Julio said, and we have Freitag Family Agency, independent broker, which means I'm not specifically contracted with any one insurance carrier. So it gives me a broader option to really help people find the carrier and plans that are going to work best for what their needs are. I'm not limited to only offering, Blue Cross or Aetna. So we work with all the major carriers to kind of find the right fit for our clients when we're talking about health insurance needs. As far as how I got into all this, I actually worked for a company with health benefits for a little over 8 years. And our role was really the advocate. We helped people understand. We were, in essence, the HR for employers when they had a small HR and a large, staff of employees, or even a small staff of employees. They called us during open enrollment for questions to go over their plans. So I spent, years explaining benefits to people. Have been on top of that, we were a resource for the employees to call when they needed help finding a doctor. We're having billing issues, had health questions. We had nurses on our staff too there. So we were part of this, kind of a care team to help people and really help employers kind of drive down their healthcare costs. The idea was to encourage, preventive care and things like that. So we did everything. I was a benefits specialist, but so I did the benefits end. We'd help people when they left their employer find individual care through the ACA marketplace. We'd help people when they retired, transition to Medicare. So it was really everything but the sales part that of what I do now. So just taking that step into the agent role now, where I'm just kind of following through and helping people actually get enrolled into that plan that's the right fit. So focusing on small employer groups, individuals under 65 through the marketplaces or direct through the carrier. And then the Medicare aspect, of course, is our big, there too. We're helping people with Medicare.
That's actually pretty awesome, because that means that anyone that does sign up with you, they get the added benefit of not just buying a really awesome cost saving plan, but they also get an expert. I mean, just for lack of a better way to put it, if there's you've done this enough times that I'm sure you can really help them understand where their benefits are, how to use them right, how to put everything in place. And so you become a one-stop shop, and that's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the goal, that if there's a question and they're having trouble finding the answer in their benefit information that they have access to, that I have the resources, I have the knowledge of where to look or to find the answer. And we don't want people to just think, oh, I just enroll you in your benefits and that's the end of conversation.
Right.
We want to
Yeah.
be able to follow up, make sure you're
Find and
happy with
run.
the benefits, that things are going well. If they're not, how can we fix it? What do we need to, improve, what can we change moving forward when we have the ability to change, to
Right.
have something fit your needs better.
All right. So, I actually get a lot of people, a lot of my clients and stuff when I'm working with agencies, they'll ask
Mhm.
me, oh, well, yeah, do you know somebody, or how does this work or how does that work? And my answer is always, well, you know what? You need to go talk to whoever sold you your
Right.
policy and figure it out. So this is really awesome that you're on here with us. So let's go through a couple of, I guess, some of the more common things I get asked about.
Mhm. Sure.
I'm going to say hands down, number one question I ask, oh, well, I'm a small agency and I don't really want to give benefits to all my
Mhm.
caregivers, but I want to
Mhm.
keep it to the office staff. So
Okay.
in your experience, what's like the minimum number of people I need to employ to be able to get a decent policy that's not going to, break my
I
budget?
mean, you can get a policy as long as it's you and one non-family member employee.
Right.
So once you have two people that are not related, you can get a group plan. And I mean, from there, obviously, the more people you carry into your benefit, the larger
Right.
your pool of individuals, the better your rates are going to be. But
Mhm.
even just starting at that, employer plus one employee, you're going to get better rates for you and your family, coverage wise, than you
Right.
would just shopping for an individual plan. Not to mention, just from the employer standpoint, I mean, when we're talking about tax deductions, you have
Mhm.
that ability for those, deductions and write-offs when you're paying for coverage for your employers, your employees, and yourself.
Right.
So,
Right.
that's something I don't get into tax numbers,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. But
you go to your accountant, there's definitely you're saving. It's rather than just going out and purchasing individual insurance for yourself, even if
right.
it's just you and one other employee. But of course, if you can expand that beyond just you
Right.
and one person, is say it's 5, 10, that's going to decrease, what
Your
those
overall
overall
cost.
premiums are going to be. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just, a lot of people, especially when they're starting out new, like
Mhm.
that's really all they've got. It's just them and, maybe whatever person they were
Sure.
able to afford to hire. So that again, I know it's a really, really common thing that pops up.
Yeah.
And, is it also another one that this one I was actually just asked about maybe 2 weeks ago in I run a small mastermind group for brand new agencies, and they wanted to give one policy or one type of plan to their office staff and a different type of plan to their field staff. Is
Mhm.
that possible?
I mean, you can. I mean, most employers, that I've run across just in my experience of working,
Mhm.
do have options. So there might be tiers. You might
Right,
have, an HMO and a PPO, or something with a high deductible versus something that's more of a traditional plan with the low deductible and copays. And
right,
then the cost just varies as far as what the employee is going to pay, what you're going to pay in premiums for those coverages, depending on what level of
right,
insurance you choose. So, yeah, I mean, that there's definitely options to do that. I think you just have to have a sizable enough group to make that make sense, where you
right,
have
right.
an option, but it's
Yeah.
possible, absolutely.
Yeah, because I know especially like when we're dealing with with larger agencies, all right.
Mhm.
Somebody who's been in business maybe, you know, like somebody who's been in business maybe 4, 5, 6 years, some of your larger home health or hospice agencies,
Mhm.
some of your mid-sized to larger assisted
Mhm.
living facilities, particularly where you're
Mhm.
talking about, large volumes of what's considered lower wage employees, your home
Mhm.
health aides, your CNAs,
Mhm.
people that are making somewhere between, depending on the state, obviously, somewhere between like $10 and,
Sure.
$18 an hour. They're
Mhm.
not really going to be able to afford and bells and
Sure, of
whistles, everything.
course.
That's one side of it. And then the other side of it,
Mhm.
there are the federal requirements for
Mhm.
insurance once you pass, I believe it's 50, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something, that they really look into, and having
Right.
options is great.
Right.
Now, have you heard, like, there's a term that I used to hear a lot, especially when I was working with franchise groups,
Mhm.
the skinny plans. Those were really popular for a
Mhm.
while. They're the
Mhm.
watered down that just meet that bare minimum
Minimum.
requirement,
Yep. Yeah, I
right?
mean, there's
So,
definitely plans out there
mhm,
that are gonna have that minimum essential
yeah,
coverage. That's
yes,
kind of just your bare bones. And those, do tend to be the more cost-effective plans. Um, I saw quite a few of those when I was, doing my previous job, and
yeah,
you would see a lot of them in the healthcare related
mhm,
industry where it was maybe like a company with like traveling nurses or
right,
something like that, where you had a lot of short-term contract employees.
yeah,
And that was kind of the, while they were under contract, these were the benefits, that were available to them. And you definitely had those plans. They would What I would see is you would in some cases, and it depended on the size of the employer, they might still have a robust plan that people could choose from. But I think, as you said, a lot of those people are on the lower end as far as the income. They gravitated just naturally more towards
right,
like, okay, just give me and the minimum essential. And this was at the time when you had to have some kind of health coverage, otherwise you were gonna get those tax penalties. Now
yeah,
we don't really have that issue, although employers can still face penalties if they're over a certain, like you said, over a group
yeah,
size and they're not offering that health coverage. They're gonna get a bill now from the
yeah,
government saying, hey, we're paying for your employees to get health coverage. We're subsidizing their coverage because you're not offering them. So now they're going to get
mhm,
hit with those. I mean, it's just kind of getting flipped around at this
right.
point. So there's an incentive to give your employees coverage, even if it's just that bare bones, something that even just encourages them to get those preventive screenings, maybe get a checkup, once or
Mhm.
twice a year, follow up with your doctor, and just have that, peace of mind that, if I need to go to the doctor, I don't necessarily have to face some exorbitant bill. Like a lot of those plans would start, they might have high deductibles for some of the larger services, but they might have like a certain number of doctor's visits that didn't apply to deductible. So
Right.
you could have a plan that says you can go see your primary doctor 3 times a year and just pay a copay, but any visits after three, you
You
have
have
your
to
deductible.
pay,
So just
right.
something, that gives people that ability to seek care without a large out-of-pocket cost, I think
And
is
now,
important.
in your professional opinion, what would you think is like, I want to say it's two parts. Number one, what are the pros and cons of having that?
Mhm,
And like, at what size would you recommend somebody, even if it's something offering something like that, something bare bones,
mhm.
5 employees, 10 employees, 100 employees, like,
I mean,
because it's about cost savings. I know, yeah,
I don't think there's ever a time when it's wrong. I mean, to start offering those. I mean, especially in the market now,
right,
there's so many job openings. And
yeah,
to say, to someone, we're going to give you health coverage where a lot of these other, companies that are maybe on the smaller side,
hmm,
local aren't offering that. Like, we can be competitive with the larger, corporations, the big, companies that are, doing the same thing by saying we're
right,
going to still offer our employees coverage. And I think that helps retain. I mean, especially when you're talking about caregivers, if you're
yeah,
talking about people that are going out there right now, with the potential
hmm,
to get sick or bring something home and have their family get sick, you want
yeah,
to make them have something that they know that they can take care of those needs. And I think that's just one of those things that's important no matter what size you are. But I think, definitely there's a benefit to start looking into it when you get to, 5, 10, even. You don't have to wait till you get to that 50 employee where they're
right.
saying now you have to offer
Right, and
coverage.
it's definitely like, I like that you brought that up. It's definitely a market differentiator. It's something that'll help you keep employees, and
Yes.
a lot of agencies don't offer anything at all. All they want to do is offer Aflac and call it a day, But
Right.
and
And I mean, those kind of things are great, those like ancillary products,
yeah,
because they just add on to, but you have to also look at it from if I am someone that's on the lower income end and my paycheck is already limited, sometimes you don't want to add in all those extras. I mean,
Yeah.
there's appeal for some people for the short-term disability, long-term, the accident, the critical illness,
Yeah.
all those type of ancillaries. I know one that's really big, especially if you're talking about, women, dependent care, flexible spending accounts. I mean, from an employer standpoint, employers aren't putting money into those. They're probably covering the administration fees and stuff like that. But that's strictly, an employee putting money aside to get that tax break to pay for childcare. And I think that's
Right.
important, giving people that, benefit that could help, with, especially now with so much, having childcare is so important. So being able to have some kind of incentive, or benefit that helps your employees, plan for
Right.
paying for childcare, goes,
Yeah,
kind of hand
that's
in
really
hand.
big. Yeah, especially in the healthcare space, because it's something that's just so dramatically impacts women specifically.
Yes.
One of the things that I do dive deep into a lot of times with my own clients is, what's the demographic makeup of a caregiver? Well,
Right.
80% are women, and out of that 80%, about 30% are single parents. So childcare costs
Right.
always come into play. Health benefits
Absolutely.
for those kids always comes into play.
Yeah.
So these are things that if you can resolve it, that's a fantastic point you brought up. And it's just people just don't think. They don't think about this stuff.
Yeah, and
You know?
I mean, a lot of these, like you said, like women, caregivers, single mothers, a lot of them, as far as health coverage, they may not need it so much for, their children, because we have, the Children's Health Insurance
Right,
Program, and, that's usually a good option, for those
right,
individuals that aren't grossing as much in terms of income. But there's always, the extra level of, protection. Like I said, you can do the dependent care, flexible spending account.
right,
Um, and, there are people that may not want health benefits, but you can still do things like dental or vision, anything that's going to, add to your value as an employer. And
right.
when your employees are healthy, they miss less work.
Yep.
They're
Less
happier.
mischiefs, more
So,
productivity. Yeah.
it's important to, make sure that, you encourage, not just by offering health benefits, but then you can put focus on like healthy behaviors. Like
Hmm.
there's a lot of employers now that incentivize things like getting your annual physical done, getting your,
Right,
preventive screenings done. Um, there are ways that they do those incentives so that, if you're healthy and you're getting all those things done and you're, meeting these certain benchmarks, then you might pay a lower premium, because as an
right,
overall, the healthier your pool of insured people, the better your rates are going to be as a group
right, right.
too.
Because the
So
less they need your service. Right.
exactly, fewer
Yes.
claims, better
Yeah.
rates. So I
Yep.
mean, that's, one of those things that they will look at as a history. Now you can't necessarily prove that, initially right off the bat going
Right,
into a
right.
policy, but to start at that point and say, we want to encourage our employees. And a lot of places penalize people now too for things like smoking. And they
Yes.
charge them a surcharge, because they're going to say, well, you're going to cost us more as a group, so we're going to have you
Agreed.
pay it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the bottom line is, if you give people benefits, you're giving them some type of security. It's not just, about the health coverage per se. I mean, there's lots of benefits that people
Right.
are drawn to and that are going to keep people with your company. But I mean, health insurance is definitely one of the big ones, especially,
Yeah.
in the market right now, because I know, just from a personal standpoint, like if it didn't offer health coverage when I was, looking for jobs, it was like,
Oh
because if I
yeah.
have to
Same
pay for that
here.
out
I
of
mean,
pocket, well,
mm, yeah.
might as
Look,
well.
I agree wholeheartedly. I have
Yeah.
two young kids. When before I went into business for myself, if there
Mhm.
was no health coverage for
Yeah.
me, my wife, and my kids, it was a wrap. I wasn't going to
Right.
take the job. It didn't make sense.
Right.
And to the point earlier, yeah, states like New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania do
Mhm.
offer child health care plans by the
Yeah.
state, but there are
Yeah.
other states that just don't.
Don't. Yeah.
So I
It's
mean,
true.
you know,
Yeah,
so
we are fortunate. Yes, I
yeah,
mean, we're
yeah,
fortunate to have that that program in place here through the state. So because
Yeah.
it does make a difference, because
Yeah, it makes a big
there are
difference.
so many people that are above the income guidelines for,
Mhm.
Medicaid, help, but struggle
Right.
because health insurance can
It's
be
very
expensive,
costly. Mhm.
um, especially when you're, making $10, $12 an hour, you
Yeah.
know. So you kind of get
Mhm.
to the point where you choose, well, if I didn't work
Yep.
and like you drop out of the workforce and now your
Right.
income drops, and now you do qualify for those state programs. I
And
mean,
that does
it's a
tend to happen.
yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, people
Especially,
definitely make those choices.
especially in the healthcare industry and in the lower skilled side of it, not
Yeah,
lower skilled, but the non-medical side. Let me
yeah.
rephrase it because caregivers and CNAs are
Oh,
very
yeah.
skilled. They're a lot more
Yes.
skilled than me. I know that.
Yeah.
But in when we're talking about the non-medical side, but
Right.
that supportive role, the
Yeah, the
transitional care
support staff. Yeah.
services, it's it's especially you know a lot of them have to learn to juggle working. Well, I can only work this many hours, otherwise I'm going to lose my health benefits. And if you
Right.
can take that stress away, you're
Away from
definitely
them.
definitely moving in the right direction.
Right. If you can
But
say to them, don't worry about your losing that state, health
yeah,
benefit. We're going to offer you this benefit. Work, those hours. Don't
right.
feel like you can only work, 15 hours, 20 hours a week. Work 40 hours if you can. And
Yeah,
then, you'll have that,
you can get the medical
security of getting that
benefits
health
through
benefit
us.
and not have
Mhm.
it be something that's unaffordable. I mean, obviously that's the key there, but like we said, there's plans that can meet those needs and still
Mhm.
be within the right, price
Right.
point, I think, as far as that goes, because you do have, a range of coverage that you can look at.
Right. All right. Well, Stephanie, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been
Yeah.
super enlightening. A lot of great information. Do you want to share with us if anyone watching this want to get a hold of Stephanie, if you're in New Jersey
I
and
have a
in
license in New
Pennsylvania,
Jersey and Pennsylvania. Yes.
yeah, please reach out to Stephanie. As you guys can see, she is extremely well versed in all of this. And what services, if I was a business owner calling you up, or if I was just any regular schmo calling you up, what is it that you help us with?
So, I mean, I do deal primarily with the health benefits, but also, we can help with, dental vision, obviously, those kind of
Mhm.
products. But I work with a great, team as far as, our broker support that, does a lot of experience with groups. So any kind of benefit that you are looking into obtaining for your group, we would have the resources, we would have the know-how to kind of help
Right.
get you where you want, with whatever package you want to settle down. I mean, I deal primarily with health myself, but definitely whatever you're looking to sit down and offer to your employees, it's part of the conversation and
Such
we
as
can
what?
find that
Like,
accommodation.
just expand a little bit on that.
Yes, so if you're looking, I mean, obviously health, dental, vision are the major health benefits, but again, the
Mhm.
spending accounts, if you're looking for like long-term disability, short-term disability, life insurance, anything like those ancillary type of benefits. You've
All
mentioned
right.
the AFLEC, the critical illness,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hospital
yeah.
indemnity. They're all options. Yeah. So
All right.
whatever you're looking to offer to your employees that you think would be of value. And that's a conversation we can have too, say what people are choosing to offer and what other companies may have found, most valuable for their employees.
Awesome. And if somebody watching this just wanted to call up, have a chat with you,
Mhm.
not necessarily commit, but just get some
Sure.
information so they can make a better buying decision,
Yeah.
is that an option with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's just little pieces of information that we, need as far as, benefits if they are coming from a place where they don't have any benefits
Right.
right now, anything in place, it's pretty, they have to have an idea of how many employees that they're going to insure,
Mhm.
and dependents. So I would say, if it's something that you're considering, maybe poll your company to see, if it's something that the employees are interested in and if they would be insuring just themselves or their spouse or their children, because that's, part of the information we put into the software to determine, what your rates would be. So I
Right.
can get you quotes, just with a general idea of, the population, like how many people you'd be insuring.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So if anyone does want to get a hold of Stephanie, and if you're watching us live on the live broadcast, all her information's in the description box already somewhere, depending on whether you're watching us on LinkedIn or Facebook. And if you're watching the replay of this, it's definitely in the description box below, or whether you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening to our podcast replay. Thank you, Stephanie, once again for your time. This
Of
has
course.
been invaluable, and I'm sure the people listening right now to us have gotten some sort of wonderful benefit and a better understanding as
So
to,
hopefully,
definitely. I
yes.
can tell you this: I definitely learned a couple of things about
Good,
benefits and things of that nature that I did not know before,
good.
and that's always a plus. And
Yes, of
thanks for joining us. If you're watching us,
course.
leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought. And if you're watching the replay, don't forget to subscribe, like, all that other wonderful stuff on here. And this has been the morning meeting. And thanks for joining us. And we'll catch you every Wednesday and Friday at 1:30 p.m.